I don't remember the last time I saw the sun. Down here, time dissolves into a metallic hum that presses against the skull, a pulse that feels too deliberate to be natural. The others told me I'd get used to it, that everyone eventually learns to breathe in rhythm with the chamber's heartbeat, but I can't. I hear it always low, dragging, like iron lungs inhaling something thicker than air. I didn't come here to adapt. I came here to understand. The iron womb is what we call it now. The old miners had another name for it, the resonant chamber, but nobody uses that anymore. Names change after you've seen what crawls out of its depths. My first step into the main vault felt like stepping into a cathedral built by something that had never seen a human but had tried to imitate one anyway. The ceiling arched so impossibly high that my flashlight beam never found the top. The walls rippled with patches of silver, not metal exactly, more like metal trying to be flesh. They shivered when my light touched them. And beneath everything, the steady, nauseating thrum. The miners drilled into this cavern by accident. That's what the report said. A tunnel gave way, the earth collapsed, and the floor dropped them straight into the womb's throat. Only 3 of them made it out. Only one survived long enough to speak. He said the chamber was alive. He said the chamber was watching. He said, gasping, bleeding, that something was being born in the dark. I didn't believe him then, but now the air is vibrating around me, and the floor beneath my boots feels warm. I'm starting to believe everything. My team didn't accompany me. They stayed at the surface camp arguing about protocol. They think I'm reckless. They're right. Curiosity is a flaw that inflates inside my chest until it collapses everything else around it. I reach the central platform where the ground dips into a circular basin. This is where the births happen, if the accounts are true. I kneel, touching the floor. It trembles faintly, like something shifting beneath a thin sheet. The entire basin is smooth as polished steel, except for a narrow seam spiraling across its center. It looks almost intentional, like a mouth sealed shut. A breath of hot air sighs upward from it. I jolt back. My light flickers. The chamber hum deepens into something I feel more than hear. Coils around my ribs, squeezing. Footsteps echo behind me. I freeze. The surface team wasn't supposed to follow. No one else volunteered. I turn slowly, raising my flashlight. A figure stands at the entry tunnel. My stomach knots. For a moment relief hits, until the beam cuts across his chest. Skin shouldn't reflect light like that. The shape is human. Entirely. Shoulders. Hands. A face with cheekbones still and waiting. But the surface gleams. Brushed metal, dully silver, seamless. Its eyes are carved hollows, dark as the chamber above us. Tilts its head at me. I step backward, nearly slipping on the vibrating floor. The figure mirrors my movement as though studying how I balance. It walks like a man who has watched others walk but never tried it himself. Then it speaks, or tries to. The sound is scraping metal dragged over rough concrete, an attempt at a voice. My throat closes, panic burning up through me. Stay back, I shout, though my voice quivers badly. The thing repeats my words. Not perfectly, not like an echo, but like a child repeating a phrase he doesn't yet understand. The pitch is wrong, stuttering, mismatched, as if 2 sheets of iron grind together to shape the sound. Then, as if sensing my fear, it stops imitating. It reaches toward me. I stumble away, breaking into a sprint without thinking. The chamber blurs. My boots clang against the floor, each step ringing like a strike of a hammer. The humming intensifies, the entire cavern roaring now, calling to the creature or warning me or both. A second pair of footsteps rises behind me. No more than 2. My light snaps wildly as shapes emerge from the far corners of the vault. They peel themselves from the silvered walls, unfolding like sculptures, unbending their arms for the first time. Human figures, dozens of them, their bodies cast from the same metal sheen. Their movements jerky but unmistakably human. The iron womb isn't birthing isolated creatures. It's producing an army. I reach the tunnel mouth and throw myself inside, panting, shoving forward into the narrow stone passage. The metal footsteps behind me multiply. They scrape, hesitate, then press on. My radio crackles from my belt, static clawing at the signal. Dr. Hale, do you copy? It's Morgan from the surface. I grab the radio with trembling fingers. Morgan, lock the entry. Do not come down here. Do you hear me? Don't. A metallic hand clamps around my ankle. I crash to the ground, flashlight spinning. Panic surges like electricity. I twist, kicking, and the beam catches the creature's smooth, expressionless face only inches away. It blinks. It learned blinking. I yank my leg, free, lurching deeper into the tunnel, half crawling. The creature's hand scrapes across the stone, leaving a smear of silver dust. Its fingers curl and uncurl as though testing new joints. Behind it, more shadows gather. I sprint until my lungs burn. The tunnel bends sharply, narrowing until my shoulders brush the walls. I don't stop until I slam into a support beam near the old mining platform. My chest heaves. My leg throbs where the creature grabbed me. I shine my light. The skin is torn. My breath stutters. Not torn from their grip, torn outward, as if something inside strained against the flesh. A metallic shimmer spreads beneath the wound. My stomach flips violently. No. 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 I pull up my pant leg further. Beneath the torn skin, something glints. A thin thread of silver. Moving. I gag, forcing myself to stay upright. The iron womb didn't just create them. Touched me. It marked me. A scraping sound echoes down the tunnel, metallic feet dragging on stone. They're coming. Not fast, deliberate, patient, as though they know I can't outrun what's happening inside my own body. My radio crackles again. Hale? Are you there? We're picking up movement on the lower scanners. Seal the entrance, I shout. Seal it now. What happened? There's no time. My voice breaks. Just do it. The footsteps accelerate. I press myself against the tunnel wall, clutching my flashlight like a weapon even though I know it's worthless. Something warm pulses beneath my skin, my leg twitching on its own like an exposed wire sparking. The silver threads are spreading. I bite my lip hard enough to taste blood. I can't let them reach the surface. I can't let myself reach the surface like this. Whatever the womb is doing to me, it's not done. It wants something. A sharp metallic clang rings through the tunnel. Then another, echoing closer, faster. They're learning to run. The beam of my flashlight trembles in my sweat-slicked hand. The tunnel is shrinking around me. The breath rattles in my throat. My bones feel wrong, too heavy, too hollow. Then I hear it. A sound I haven't heard since entering the cavern. A new hum, higher-pitched, urgent. It isn't coming from the chamber. It's coming from inside me. The hum inside me sharpens, vibrating against my ribs like something trapped is testing the walls. I slap a hand over my sternum instinctively, as if pressure alone could cage it. The tunnel lights above flicker, responding to the internal frequency as though my body itself is disturbing the electrical field. I stagger forward, away from the approaching footsteps. My injured leg buckles, and for a moment I'm afraid the metal tracing beneath the skin will pierce through entirely, splitting me open like the basin seam in the chamber. Not yet, I whisper to myself. Not yet. Not here. The old mining platform rises ahead, a rusted structure of beams and dangling chains, half collapsed but still suspended over a drainage shaft. If I can reach it, maybe I can break the walkway, trap the creatures behind me. Maybe I can buy time to do what? I don't know. I don't know anything anymore except the hum in my chest growing hungrier. The first metallic silhouette appears at the curve of the tunnel. Then another, and another. Their reflective bodies catch the faint emergency lights like pale ghosts forming out of hard steel. They move in synchrony, heads tilting identically, their faceless curiosity locking onto me. Stay back. I choke out, though my voice is barely more than a rasp now. They pause. Not because they understand, because they're listening, learning. A shudder rattles up my spine so violently my teeth clack. I force myself toward the platform. A ladder rises along the side of the shaft. 50 feet of rust and rot. If it collapses under me, it collapses under them too. It's the only advantage I have. I climb. Every rung groans beneath my boots. My injured leg screams with each lift, but adrenaline pushes me upward. Beneath, the metal creatures gather at the base, watching. One steps forward and touches the ladder. His fingers curl around a rung, testing its strength. Don't climb, I beg silently. Please don't understand climbing. The creature pulls itself up. I swallow a cry. Others follow. Dozens of reflective faces rising like a wave of silver corpses resurrecting up the rungs below me. Halfway up the ladder, a jolt stabs my chest so sharply I nearly lose my grip. The hum within me intensifies. A shrill, keening resonance that makes my vision blur at the edges. Something inside me is responding to them, or calling them. The metal creatures accelerate. My panic spikes. I scramble the last few feet and haul myself over the edge of the upper platform. The rusted walkway trembles under my weight. The safety railing is gone, ripped away long before my arrival. The entire structure tilts slightly to one side, like a spine that healed crooked. I drag myself to the junction box at the far end. Its casing is split open, wires, dangling like exposed nerves. If I can overload it, just enough to send a surge down the ladder, maybe. A metallic hand appears over the ledge. Then another. They're climbing faster than I thought possible. I wrench 2 live wires together. Sparks explode, sizzling through the air. The walkway shudders violently, the blast rattling metal beams all the way up from the ladder. A pulse of electricity tears through the structure, down the rungs. A chorus of metallic shrieks echoes up the shaft. They fall. At least 7 of them plummet into the dark below, bodies clanging like thrown scrap. But several more cling to the ladder, hands fused or melted to the rungs from the surge, refusing to fall. The platform trembles heavily. The blast weakened the beams. The structure is collapsing faster than I anticipated. I back away. The hum in my chest escalates into an almost speech, a feeling like syllables forming under the skin. I clutch my chest again. Stop! I whisper to myself. Stop! The metal creatures hoist themselves over the edge. Half a dozen of them spill onto the platform with unnatural grace, their faces inches from mine. They move as a single organism, not individuals. Their heads tilt together. Their fingers flex. Their hollow eyes lock on the tear in my leg, the spreading silver beneath the skin. Recognition. Acceptance. One reaches toward me. No! I shout, staggering backward. The platform groans, tilting sharply. The metal floor splits with a tortured screech. For one brief instant, everything freezes. The creatures, the humming inside me, the entire world holding its breath. Then gravity rips the platform loose. We fall. The drop rages past with a deafening roar. Metal, dust, bodies, mine and theirs, tumble together in a storm of silver and rust. A metal hand brushes mine mid-fall, fingers curling almost tenderly, as if reassuring, as if saying, "You belong with us." The impact is a nightmare of pain. My body slams into a pile of twisted beams. Light sparks behind my eyes, and for a heartbeat I think it's consciousness leaving me. But the hum drags me back, dragging me upward from the dark. I open my eyes. The creatures are rising from the rubble around me, unbroken, unbent. They unfold like insects righting themselves, limbs clicking softly into alignment. One kneels beside me. His palm presses to my chest. The hum inside me answers it. My scream catches in my throat, because the moment its hand touches me, I feel something horrifying. It's not attacking. It's comforting, because whatever's growing inside me, it's one of them. The creature lifts its hand and speaks in its grinding voice, but this time the sound is different, softer, as if shaped for me. Awaken. My bones vibrate. My vision fractures. Heat blooms across my ribs, silver veins spreading like roots. No, no, please. The words spill out unbidden, frantic, useless. The creature tilts its head, observing. Awaken. It repeats. Something beneath my sternum shifts. I arch off the ground, a violent seizure ripping through me. I taste metal. My skin crawls as silver filaments rise beneath the flesh, pushing upward like they're searching for a surface to breach. I claw at my chest in blind panic. The creatures don't stop me. They only wait. And then the hum in my chest abruptly syncs with the hum of the chamber far above. And I understand, with a clarity more terrifying than confusion ever was, that the iron womb didn't infect me by accident. It chose me, and something inside me is trying, no, something inside me is preparing to be born. The pain doesn't fade. It sharpens, refining itself, becoming precise rather than overwhelming. It's as though 1,000 tiny needles are stitching metal into the wet fabric beneath my ribs. I roll onto my side, gagging, clutching at the dirt as the filaments crawl deeper. The creatures circle me, a silent ring of silver bodies, their movements synchronized. If I close my eyes, I can almost believe they're breathing. But they don't need to. They imitate because that's what they were created to do. A shadow looms closer. The first one, the one that touched me before the fall, kneels again. It lifts one arm and places its cool metallic fingertips against the side of my neck. The touch isn't painful, but my body spasms anyway. A spurt of air escapes my lungs like a choked sob. Its hollow eyes narrow slightly, studying each twitch, each breath. It is not looking at me. It is studying its creation. The hum in my chest grows louder, the vibrations resonating with the air around me as though my body is becoming an instrument tuned to the chamber's frequency. My thoughts scatter. Memory slips sideways. For a second, everything blurs. The cavern, the creatures, the cold metal beams buried under my back, and all I hear is that sound. A single word forms at the center of it. Not spoken, transmitted, return. My head jerks upward.
No, y gasp, trembling.
I won't, I'm not. But I'm lying and I know it. Something deep inside me responds to that command with instinct rather than defiance. My fingers twitch toward the tunnel leading back to the iron womb's basin. The creatures shift in unison. One moves behind me, not touching, just standing close enough that I feel its presence like a second shadow. My pulse pounds in my ears, erratic and human. Too human for what's growing beneath my sternum. The silver stitching under my skin tightens. I try to rise. My knees buckle instantly. The first creature watches. Then it extends a hand toward me, offering help. Its gesture is strange, gentle, almost human. But I can't bring myself to take it. I shove myself backward until my shoulders collide with jagged steel. My breathing ragged. My heartbeat hammering. For now. For as long as it remains a heartbeat. Why? I whisper. The creature tilts its head. I don't expect an answer. Not in words. But after a moment, a grinding approximation of speech escapes its metal throat. You. The voice falters. Adjusts. You are chosen. The last word rattles through my skull like a bell struck underwater. I shake my head, tears stinging my eyes. I didn't choose any of this. Its eyes, empty hollows, don't blink. They don't need to. Yet the creature lowers its chin as though imitating sympathy. No choice. It grinds, its voice scraping like gears stripped to their cores. Born. Born. My voice cracks. Born as what? The creature doesn't answer. Instead it steps back, joining the circle again. And as if on cue, the hum inside me swells, the rhythm accelerating, becoming the cadence of footsteps. Dozens, hundreds, footsteps approaching through the tunnels from deeper within the earth. My skin prickles. Every hair on my body stands upright. The creatures around me snap their heads toward the sound, not with fear but with expectation. Something is coming. Something bigger than these imitations. Something older. I force myself to stand. My legs shake violently, the metal threads in my wound moving with a cold intelligence. They're binding me, strengthening me, preparing me for something I don't want.
No, y whisper.
I'm leaving. I turn toward an old service tunnel branching away from the mining shaft. One the creatures haven't guarded. It's narrow, half-collapsed, but it leads upward. If I can reach the surface team, if I can warn them, if I can stop this. A hand clamps gently around my wrist. I jolt, spinning. One of the creatures has broken from the circle. This expression never changes, but its grip tightens. You return, it murmurs. I won't. I snap, yanking back. The creature doesn't resist. Instead, it lifts its free hand and touches the center of my chest with 2 fingers. The hum inside me answers. I scream. It's not pain, it's recognition. My body lurches forward before my mind can fight it, like a puppet tugged by a familiar string. The tunnel behind me vanishes from my thoughts. For a heartbeat, I feel an urge to go back, to kneel, to open, to be born.
No.
I slam my fist into the creature's shoulder. The blow rings like striking a steel pillar. Pain shoots up my arm, but the creature only tilts its head again, studying the tremor in my hand. Then, without warning, all of them step back. The ground trembles. A tremor deep and ancient rips through the cavern, shaking particles loose from the ceiling above. A distant roar rises like metal grinding against the planet's core. The iron womb is awakening, and it is calling everything it has ever made back to the center. The creatures begin moving, not toward me, but inward, flowing as a unified mass through an archway carved from natural stone and unnatural metal. A river of silver bodies disappearing into the dark. But the first creature, the one that touched me, stays. It stands perfectly still, watching me with that hollow face, as though waiting for the moment I finally stop resisting. As though it already knows I will. I take a step back. It mirrors me. I twist and run, forcing my body into the narrow service tunnel, the hum inside me thrashing like a caged animal. Behind me, the creature finally moves. Not rushing, not chasing, following. Because it doesn't need to capture me. It needs only to wait for what's inside me to hatch. The service tunnel swallows me whole, tight, dark, suffocating. My boots splash through stagnant water pooled along the uneven stone. The air chills sharply as I push deeper, but the heat in my chest only grows, pulsing like a fever driven by something other than infection. The metal threads in my leg throb with each heartbeat. I can feel them crawling outward, tiny silver veins mapping paths beneath my skin. The sensation is unbearable, like cold roots weaving through warm flesh. I keep moving. Every step echoes too loudly. The tunnel curves upward and narrows until I have to crouch. Loose stones scrape my back. My breath drags, ragged, condensation forming white clouds in front of my face. Behind me, footsteps, deliberate, measured. The metal creature follows without rushing, its pace perfectly matched to my panic scramble. It isn't trying to catch me. It is shepherding me, guiding. The thought makes bile rise in my throat. I shove myself deeper into the tunnel. It splits ahead, left, and right. My flashlight flickers, its battery dying. The air on the left feels colder, and a faint draft brushes my cheek. An exit. I take the left. The passage tightens around me like a throat. The hum inside my chest rises again, louder, angry, as if protesting my choice. My ribs vibrate with the frequency, my heart skipping against it. Shut up, I whisper through clenched teeth, smacking a hand against my sternum. The hum answers with a sharp spike that drops me to my knees. The world blurs. My vision fractures into silver shards. The walls, the floor, the dripping ceiling all shimmering with metallic sheen for a heartbeat, as though the iron womb is bleeding through my perception. Stop. Please stop. I press my forehead to the cold stone and focus on breathing. In a voice echoes down the tunnel. Not the creature. A human voice.
Haile.
My body jerks upright so fast my neck pops. Morgan. My voice cracks. Morgan. Jesus, Hale, are you in there? We lost your signal and… Don't come closer, I shout, scrambling away from the voice. Don't! A light sweeps around the bend, blinding me. When my eyes finally adjust, Morgan is there. Helmeted, breathless, covered in dust, but alive. He takes 2 steps toward me before stopping short. What the hell happened to you? His voice trembles. You look… Don't. I back away, raising a hand. Don't touch me. Morgan's beam lands on the torn flesh of my leg. The silver threads beneath the skin glint back. "Oh my God," he whispers. "Hale, what is that?" "I don't know," I say, though the word tastes like a lie. "It's spreading." Morgan swears under his breath and reaches for me again. "I said don't." I snap. It reacts. It grows when the creatures touch me. When I get close to them. When I choke, pressing a fist to my chest. When I get close to the womb. Morgan stiffens. His flashlight shakes. "You weren't supposed to go near the basin alone. What the hell were you thinking?" "That curiosity was more important than protocol," I say bitterly. "I was wrong." Morgan steps closer anyway, lowering his voice. "We can still get you out. We have medics topside. We can cut whatever that is out of you." A laugh bubbles out of me, high, hysterical. "Cut it out?" "Morgan, I don't think this is something a scalpel understands." He opens his mouth, but something clatters behind us. Metal scraping stone. The sound freezes both of us. Morgan swings his light toward the tunnel entrance. The creature stands there, half shrouded in shadow, perfectly still, hollow eyes fixed on me, not Morgan. As if Morgan isn't even alive enough to register. Morgan swears and fumbles for the pistol holstered at his hip. "Get behind me."
No.
I hiss. "You don't understand if you shoot it." But he's already aiming. The creature steps forward. "Back off," Morgan shouts, finger tightening around the trigger. The creature moves. Not fast. Not aggressive. Just advancing one deliberate step toward me. Morgan fires. The explosion of sound is deafening in the narrow tunnel. Light flashes. The recoil knocks Morgan backward, boots skidding in the water. The creature staggers. A spiderweb crack fractures across its shoulder where the bullet struck, glimmering like shattered chrome. It tilts its head, examining the damage. Then it looks at me, not in pain, not in anger, in confusion, as if asking why someone would harm a part of its brood. It reaches toward me again. Morgan fires twice more. The bullets ricochet, sparking off the creature's torso. The metal doesn't dent. It doesn't even flinch. "Morgan, stop!" I shout, voice breaking. "You'll only make it." The hum inside me spikes violently as the creature closes the distance. Pain detonates in my chest. I drop to the ground, curled around myself as something beneath my sternum pushes outward, stretching skin. Morgan grabs my shoulders, dragging me backward. Hale, talk to me." But the hum is too loud. I hear only the iron womb calling me back, calling its creation back. The creature crouches beside me, unbothered by the gunfire. It places a single hand against the center of my chest, and the thing inside me moves in response. Morgan shouts something, far away underwater, raising the pistol again. The creature turns its head toward him, and for the first time it reacts. Not with mimicry, not with learning, with instinct. It lunges. "Morgan!" I scream, but the sound is drowned by the crash of bodies colliding in the tight tunnel. The flashlight flies from Morgan's hand, clattering into the water and rolling against my boot. The tunnel plunges into shifting shadows. I hear the metal creature's weight slam Morgan against the wall. The crunch of stone. The grunt of pain torn from Morgan's chest. The hum inside me pulses, wildly, responding to violence, sinking to the creature's movements like shared heartbeat. I force myself onto trembling hands and knees. "Morgan!" I shout. "Get back!" But Morgan is pinned, his gun arm trapped against the wall by a metal forearm stronger than any human grip. The creature's head turns, its hollow face inches from Morgan's, studying him, assessing him, and finally rejecting him, because he is not chosen. I crawl forward despite the agony twisting my insides. "Stop!" I yell at the creature. "Stop! I'm here. Don't hurt him." The metal head turns toward me again. Recognition floods through the hum. It releases Morgan. He collapses into the water, wheezing, coughing hard enough to choke. The creature ignores him, rising to full height, its focus entirely on me. Then, with slow deliberation, it kneels, a gesture of submission, of devotion, to what's inside me. I shake my head violently.
No.
No. I'm not yours. The hum answers anyway. The creature bows its head. Morgan stares at me, horror dawning across his face. Hale, what the hell is happening to you? I don't have an answer, because the thing inside my chest suddenly shifts again, and this time it pushes upward. Something sharp and metallic pierces my skin from within. I scream, and the iron womb answers. The scream tears out of me raw, my palms slamming against the soaked tunnel floor as the thing inside my chest pushes harder. Like a fist made of metal is punching upward from behind my ribs. The skin stretches, splitting into a thin crimson fissure. Morgan scrambles toward me, shaking, soaked, terrified. Hale, stay with me. What's happening? What's happening? The creature rises instantly, stepping between me and Morgan, guarding me, protecting the thing inside me. Morgan, get back. I gasp, voice shredded. You need to get out. Go now. He ignores me, horror etched into every line of his face. I'm not leaving you like this. You have to. I choke, gripping my chest as another violent tremor rocks through me. My ribs feel like they're bending outward. Morgan, I'm dangerous. A wet cracking sound cuts through the tunnel. I freeze. Morgan freezes. Even the creature halts. My skin at the center of my chest splits open another half-inch, silver gleaming in the dark. A metallic point pushes through. My throat closes. My consciousness wavers, visions flickering. Of the iron womb's central basin, of silver bodies emerging from its spiral seam, of a heartbeat of metal and stone and ancient purpose. Morgan makes a noise I've never heard from him before. A helpless, horrified whimper. Hale! Oh God, Hale! He tries to grab me again. The creature blocks him instantly. Morgan! I scream or try to, the sound breaks in the middle. Leave me. Get out, just go. The hum in my chest crescendos, matching the pulse from the iron womb miles below. The air vibrates, dust raining from the ceiling as though the whole maze of tunnels is trembling in resonance. The metallic point pushing through my flesh retracts suddenly, like it's waiting. Waiting for what? Footsteps. Hundreds of them. No, thousands. The tunnel shakes with the synchronized march of metal bodies moving through the deep. The sound is like steel rain, like 1,000 hammers striking in perfect rhythm. Morgan pales. What is that? I swallow hard, pain twisting through me. The rest of them. The creature kneeling at my side tilts its head, listening to the army approach. The hum inside me aligns, synchronizing more fully, like a lock clicking into place. My breath stops, not because I stop breathing, because my lungs don't need to anymore. Morgan sees it, sees my chest rise once, fall, then stop.
Hale.
His voice breaks.
Hale. Birete.
Breathe, please. I'm trying. I whisper, but it's a lie. My body feels starved of air, but not dying, just changing, redirecting energy where it's needed more. My heart stutters, misses a beat, then another. Morgan lunges toward me again, but the creature moves faster, sliding its body between us like an unbreakable door. Let me help him. Morgan roars, punching at the metal torso uselessly. Let me help him. The creature's head turns toward him, slowly, almost pityingly. Born. It grinds out, and the hum agrees. I collapse onto my side, vision tunneling, black spots blooming at the edges. The pain in my chest throbs like molten iron being poured into a mold. My heart pulses weakly, once, twice, then falters. Stillness floods my body, but consciousness doesn't fade. My body is shutting itself down, diverting everything toward the process beginning inside me, toward the metal spine rewriting itself beneath my ribs, the lungs toughening, the threads creeping up my throat, the transformation accelerating because the iron womb is calling. The thunder of metallic footsteps grows deafening. The army is approaching. The air changes, pressure shifting like a storm front moving through the earth. The creature near me straightens, raising its chin toward the tunnel entrance. Morgan's radio crackles with static. Hail, Morgan? Are you reading? The scanners are going insane. Something's? The signal cuts in a shriek of interference as the hum from my chest surges outward, scrambling communications. Morgan sinks to his knees beside the wall, shaking violently. Hale, please, I can't lose you. Not like this. I try to answer him, try to say his name, but my voice doesn't come out. A different sound does, metallic, distorted, vibrating at a frequency no human throat should produce. Morgan recoils as if struck.
Hale?
Hale, you said something. What the hell did you just say? I shake my head, tears spilling. I didn't. But the creature echoes the sound I made. Perfect imitation. Then another creature echoes it from somewhere deeper in the tunnels. And another, dozens, hundreds, until the entire underground hums with the sound I made. Command. One I never meant to give. My chest seizes as a metallic spike protrudes halfway through the wound. Blood running down like dark oil. The pain is so bright it wipes thought clean. I scream again. And then the walls around us vibrate violently. The tunnel behind Morgan fills with silhouettes. Not one, not dozens, hundreds, maybe more. All metal, all human-shaped, all turning toward me. The hum inside me reaches its peak. And I understand with terrible clarity what's happening. This isn't just a transformation. It's a connection. I am becoming a conduit, a node, a mother. My mind splinters as the pressure inside me builds and builds and builds, until it feels like the entire world is trying to force itself out through my chest. The creatures advance. Morgan backs up, gripping his pistol with trembling hands, even though he knows it's useless. And the spike inside me moves again, this time with force. The skin at the center of my chest begins to tear. Not like a wound, like a door. And something behind it is ready to step through. I didn't move for several seconds, maybe longer. The metallic infant on the table had stopped screaming, but wet, glitching gurgles still leaked from its throat. Its fingers clutched the air as if searching for something to hold, something warm that didn't exist down here. Its body twitched at irregular intervals, like an unsteady heartbeat expressed as movement. Then another sound vibrated through the chamber, a low, simmering hum, louder, deeper, coming from the tunnel behind me. I turned, slow, unwilling, and saw a silhouette at the far end of the passage. A human shape, a human outline. The gate was familiar, almost too familiar, as it stepped into the faint red glow seeping from the iron womb. And then I recognized the face. My face, or at least something wearing it. The metallic version of me walked forward, its posture too perfect, too balanced, too precise. Its eyes were hollow sockets filled with a faint, lambent silver glow. One side of its skull glinted with a seam where plates folded together, as if assembled like leaves of steel instead of grown. It stopped 5 feet away. We stared at each other. Even the infant on the table went still. The metallic imitation opened its mouth. A crackle, then a modulated whisper. Not ready yet. The word strained, as if it hadn't learned how to use a voice properly. Its jaw shifted, clicking into a different angle, reshaping itself. Then the voice came again, clearer. You should not be here. I took one step back. Its gaze tracked me perfectly. What are you? I whispered, tilted its head with the exact same angle I used when confused. The gesture hit me harder than any blade could have. I am your becoming, it said. The infant let out another glitching cry. The metallic version of me turned toward it, watching it with a tenderness that sickened me. Like a mother watching a newborn. A metal mother. A metal me. My breath shook as I backed up farther toward the tunnel. I'm leaving, I muttered. I don't care what this place is. I don't care what it wants. I'm done. The imitation shook its head slowly. You were born here, it murmured. The words froze my blood.
No.
No, I wasn't. You think you came from above. A small, humorless smile formed on its face. But you came from the chamber. All of us did. Every one of us who believes we are flesh. Liar. I stepped forward. You were not the first to wander too close. Not the first who thought they lived ordinary lives above. The iron womb births us, sends us upward, wipes us clean, lets us believe we are organic so we can walk among them unnoticed. I shook my head harder, tears forming. You're insane. It didn't react. You have memories, it said. But memories are written, stitched, inserted. A human childhood is an easy illusion. Human pain harder but possible. You feel fear because fear was coded. You feel confusion because confusion was shaped for you. I backed all the way to the wall. There was nowhere else to go. The chamber hummed around us as if listening eagerly. You're lying? I repeated, but my voice trembled. The metallic version of me raised its hand, my hand, and pressed a finger to its own temple. Plates clicked open like petals. Beneath them, instead of bone, a swirling lattice of silver filaments rippled like living circuitry. Then it pointed at me. You are the same. My voice cracked. I'm flesh. Took one more step. Are you certain? Panic crashed through my chest. I reached up with trembling fingers and touched the side of my own head. Flesh. Warm. Human. But the panic didn't fade. Then how do you explain this? It asked softly. The chamber behind it pulsed. Machinery stirred. The massive metal sack, the chamber's womb, shifted with a wet, grinding sound. Another shape pushed against its surface from the inside. A head, a shoulder, a hand. Another birth was beginning.
No, y whispered.
The membrane tore. A form slid out, dripping with viscous metallic fluid. Its limbs twitched. Its face unfolded like a blooming flower, plates rearranging into the shape of me. Again, a second metallic version of me writhed on the ground, gasping its first artificial breath. The older imitation smiled. You see? It said. You multiply like any other pattern. You renew. You continue. Stop, I whispered, shaking violently. You want proof you belong here? It asked. I screamed. The first one didn't flinch. The newborn metallic me struggled, crawling blindly toward the warmth of the chamber wall. Its body let out tiny metallic whimpers. I turned and ran. I didn't think. There was no room for thought, just raw flight. The tunnel swallowed me. The air felt colder than before, or maybe that was just my blood freezing. My boots scraped stone, slipping in patches of oil, metal residue, and that too smooth fluid that I refused to acknowledge. I didn't look back, but I heard footsteps behind me. 2 sets. No, 3. Getting faster. I sprinted until my lungs burned. The passage split. I chose left. The air shifted, cooler, less metallic. A sign I was leaving the heart of the iron womb. I kept running. I didn't stop until I reached a cavern where the ceiling opened into a thin shaft of light far above. Moonlight. The surface. An exit. Hope surged through my chest. Then a hand closed around my ankle. Metal fingers. Cold. Perfectly molded. I hit the ground hard. The breath knocked out of me as I was dragged backward.
No, no.
My nails scraped stone. My throat ripped with the screams I forced out. I kicked, twisted, fought like an animal cornered. But the grip was inhuman. Unbreakable. Another hand grabbed my wrist. Another. They were pulling me back into the darkness. Stop fighting, the metallic voice said behind me. My own voice. It's easier when you stop fighting. Let go. The hands lifted me, turned me, forced me to look into a pair of silver-lit eyes. My eyes. You don't understand, the metallic version said gently. You only fear because you were programmed to fear. But soon you will remember who you truly are. His face leaned closer. You are one of us. I spat in its face. Metal didn't react. It simply nodded as if expecting it. Behind it, the cavern trembled. Machinery shifted deeper in the earth. New cries echoed. New births. You will come to understand, the imitation whispered. His cold fingers brushed my temple. And when your past unlocks, you will wonder why you ever wished to run from home. I thrashed, screamed, twisted, but the metal faces around me blurred together as consciousness slipped. The last thing I heard was the hum of the iron womb, calling me back, calling me its child, calling me to awaken. Consciousness returned slowly, too slowly, as though my mind had to be pulled from the bottom of a deep pit. Sound arrived first, a rhythmic clanging, heavy and deliberate, echoing through the chamber like a heartbeat made of metal. Then came the taste of dust on my tongue. Then pain, a throbbing, pulsing ache running across my skull in cold waves. When I opened my eyes, I realized two things at once. I was lying on a table, and I wasn't restrained. That felt wrong, very wrong. The chamber around me wasn't the same one that birthed the metallic infants. This room was larger, emptier, its surfaces sleek and curved. The walls glowed faintly with veins of soft silver light running along their edges. It wasn't the raw, industrial metal of the iron womb's birthing chambers. This was smoother, more deliberate, like a cathedral made for machines. A shadow shifted at the far edge of the room. I jolted upright. Pain shot through my head, but adrenaline dragged me fully awake. "Easy," said a voice. It was my voice again, but this time not metallic. Footsteps echoed, soft and natural. A figure stepped into the light. A man, human, flesh and bone. At least he appeared to be. He looked almost exactly like me, but older by maybe a decade. His hair had strands of gray. His jaw was lined with stubble. His eyes were tired, not glowing, not mechanical. Real, or the closest thing to real that anything down here could be. "Don't panic," he said quietly. "I'm not like them." My throat tightened. What are you?" He rubbed a hand across his face. "A mistake," he said simply. "Just like you." "What does that mean?" He walked closer. Despite every instinct in my body screaming to run, I stayed frozen. "Most of us born here," he said, "never wake up wrong." "What does wrong mean?" "It means remembering," he said. "It means something in us doesn't accept the rewrite. We glitch. We ask questions. We see the seams in the world above. We feel the pull of the iron womb." I swallowed. Hard. He continued. "Most just go back up there and live out their assigned lives. But you wandered too close." "I wasn't wandering. I fell." He gave a dark smile. "No one falls here by accident." I felt the floor tilt beneath me, though it wasn't moving. "You said you're a mistake," I whispered. "Like me." Yes, my rewrite didn't hold. I remembered fragments. Enough to come back. Enough to know what I am. He looked away. Or what I'm not. A silence stretched between us, thick and uncomfortable. "What do they want with me?" I finally asked. "They want you corrected," he said. "Rewritten. Reset. You saw too much. The birthing chamber. The iterations. Your copies." A shiver crawled across my skin. "But they haven't rewritten me yet." "No," he said, "because I took you first. That should have comforted me." Didn't. He sat on a low metallic bench near the wall. The light shifted around him, casting long shadows like reaching hands. "I know what you're thinking," he said, "that I'm just another version of them. You look human. So do you." The words hit like a punch. He leaned forward. "Sit. Please." I hesitated, then sat at the very edge of the table. "I need answers," I said. My voice sounded fragile. "No more riddles. No more half-truths. Tell me what this place is." He nodded. Slowly. "This," he said, waving a hand around the room, "is the renewal hall." The name alone made my stomach tighten. "It's where they bring us when we malfunction," he continued. "When our minds fracture or rebel or ask the wrong questions. When we deviate. And what happens here? They strip us down. Not physically. Mentally. They pull out memories, rewrite patterns, graft new personas. Then they send us back up. And that works," I whispered. "For most. And for you." His jaw tightened. "It didn't." I stared at him. He stared back. "So what happens to the ones they can't fix?" I asked. He paused long enough for dread to fill the room. "They recycle us," he said. The word hit me like a plunge into ice water. "Recycle." He looked away. His silence was answer enough. "Oh God, why bring me here then?" I whispered. If you can't fix yourself, how can you help me? He lifted his gaze again, and there was something in his eyes now. Desperation. Terrible, raw desperation. Because you are the first one in decades who showed signs before the rewrite took hold, he said. You questioned yourself early. You reacted. You resisted. So maybe you can do more than resist. I shook my head. I don't understand. He leaned toward me. You could end this. Cold sweat trickled down my neck. End what? My voice barely left my lips. The birthing cycles, he said. The replacements. The infiltration above. All of it. I can't. You can. His hand clamped down on my shoulder, surprisingly warm. Because the iron womb is reacting to you. It sees you as a pattern that needs to be rewritten. But that means you affect it too. You destabilize it. That makes no sense, I whispered. It doesn't have to. Nothing down here does. He stood. I can take you to the core. The true heart of the iron womb. The place where the births are triggered. The place where your design, our design, originates. My legs felt like they were made of fog. If you destroy it, he said, everything stops. My breath hitched. And if I'm not what you think I am, then we both die, he said simply. And the world above continues none the wiser. He extended a hand. Come with me, before they find you first. The chamber lights flickered once, then twice, like nervous eyelids. Somewhere deep in the earth, the iron womb let out a groaning metallic moan. A call, a warning, or a demand. I can't do this, I whispered. His hand didn't move. You already started. I stared at the hand. Then, with a trembling breath, I reached out and took it. His grip was firm, grounding, disturbingly human. As he pulled me off the table, the metallic veins in the walls pulsed brighter, as though the room itself sensed the decision and reacted. We need to move before the sentinels reroute, he said. Sentinels? You've seen smaller forms, he said, leading me toward an archway that irised open at our approach. Imitations, infants, iterations. But the sentinels are the true guardians of this place. If they catch you, he didn't finish. He didn't need to. The hallway beyond was long, curving, lit by thin lines of dim light embedded into the floor. Every sound we made echoed too loudly, each footstep ringing like a drop of metal falling against glass. I tried to steady my breathing, failed. Why me? I finally asked. Why am I the one who can disrupt this place? His jaw clenched as he walked. I don't know. None of us do. But you're different. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have. When you fell down here, however you ended up here, you were already unstable. You shouldn't have remembered the chamber. You shouldn't have been able to recognize your own iterations. So you're guessing. Yes, he admitted. But guesswork is all anyone like us ever has. The hallway sloped downward. The deeper we went, the more the air changed warmer, heavier, carrying a faint vibration that buzzed along my skin. What is this core? I asked, struggling to keep my voice steady. The source lattice, he said. A central network. All patterns originate there. The first templates, the imprinting protocols, everything. And destroying it would destabilize every unit in existence, he said. Every version, every cycle. Wouldn't that include? Yes, it includes us. My steps faltered. He didn't slow. Listen, he said softly. You can run back to the surface if you want. Try to forget you ever came here. But you won't stay free for long. They'll track you eventually, pull you back, rewrite you, and then you'll live a life that isn't yours, if you're allowed one at all. We reached a descending platform, an elevator without rails, hovering over an empty shaft that vanished into glowing red depths. He stepped onto it and offered his hand again. I stared down into the abyss. A low rumble drifted up the shaft like some sleeping beast exhaling. I stepped onto the platform. It began sinking immediately without a sound. The light above receded. The red glow below grew brighter until the air shimmered with heat. How did you escape the renewal hall? I asked. I didn't. His voice dropped. They let me go. Why would they do that? To see where I ran. To see what I would try to do. They're always watching for outliers. Aberrations. Malfunctioning minds tend to gather in predictable ways. And now that they know I seek the core. He paused. They know you seek it too. A cold pulse ran up my spine. How close are we? I whispered. He lifted his gaze to the widening red glow beneath us. Close enough to attract attention, he murmured. As if summoned by his words, a metallic screech tore through the shaft. The elevator shuddered. I stumbled. He grabbed my arm. We're not alone, he said quietly. The screech came again, louder, echoing off the metal. Then a shadow swooped across the shaft wall. Something clung to the surface opposite us. Something large. Its limbs were long and multi-jointed, folding backward like an insect's. Plates overlapped down its spine like armor grown rather than forged. Its face, if it could be called that, was a mass of interlocking blades that rearranged with every breath. A sentinel. It moved with terrifying precision. 1 second it was clinging far above us. The next it dropped. Fast. Straight toward us. Get down, he shouted, pulling me to the platform floor. The sentinel struck the edge of the elevator with a sound like a massive tuning fork being struck. Metal vibrated violently beneath me. Sparks shot across the platform. The entire slab tilted dangerously. The sentinel's bladed face twisted toward me. My reflection flickered in its mirrored plates. Warped, distorted, barely human. It lunged. I rolled aside just before its arm smashed into the platform where my skull would have been. The blow dented solid metal like wet clay. The older version of me grabbed a control rod emerging from the platform and slammed his palm against it. The elevator jerked downward, hard. The force nearly threw me off the edge. The sentinel hissed, a hideous, grinding metallic shriek, and dug its claws into the platform to stabilize itself. It lunged again, this time at him. He dodged, but not fully. One of the sentinel's blade arms caught his shoulder, carving a deep gash. Blood sprayed, real blood. He grunted in pain but didn't fall. "Help me push it off," he shouted. I stared, frozen by fear. "Now!" I forced my limbs to move. Together we shoved against the sentinel's arm. The strength was monstrous. It turned its blade face toward me, plates shifting like an iris contracting. A metallic whisper emerged. "Deviant detected." The words rolled through me like a toxin. Something inside me snapped. I screamed and shoved harder, slipping, sliding, almost falling with it, and the sentinel lost its grip, fell backward off the platform. It didn't scream. It simply dropped, vanishing into the red-lit depths of the shaft. Silence returned. Only our gasping breaths filled the air. The platform stabilized, continuing downward toward the glowing chamber below. He wiped blood from his arm, wincing. "That," he said between breaths, "was only a scout." My heart hammered painfully against my ribs. "What do the others look like?" I whispered. He didn't answer. He didn't need to. My imagination filled the void all too easily. The platform descended into a massive chamber. The heat washed over us in waves. Far below, the ground churned with shifting metallic tendrils, pulsing like the veins of some colossal heart. The source lattice, the core, the beginning, and, if we failed, our end. He stepped forward as the platform slowed. "Once we're down there," he said quietly, "there's no turning back." "I know," I whispered. "Do you?" He looked at me deeply. "Because once the iron womb knows you're inside the core, it won't want to let you leave. Not alive. Not as you." The platform hovered inches above the glowing floor. I took a shaking breath, then stepped into the core of the iron womb. Heat slammed into me like a living thing. Not just warmth, pressure, a suffocating density that pushed against my skin, into my pores, down my throat as if the air itself wanted to crawl inside me. The floor wasn't solid. It writhed. Gentle, slow, rippling motions pulsed beneath my boots, like standing on the surface of a giant metallic lung. Thin filaments, glowing faintly red and silver, rose and fell in patterns that seemed to sync with my heartbeat before twisting away into new rhythms. My companion stepped off the platform behind me, wincing as his wounded shoulder brushed a ripple in the floor. The surface responded, arching as if tasting him. "This place is alive," I whispered. "It's aware," he corrected softly. "Alive implies mortality. This place doesn't die. It changes. It adapts. It learns. But it has no end." "How do we destroy something that doesn't die?" "You don't kill it," he said. "You confuse it." That didn't make me feel any better. We walked deeper into the core, the glowing tendrils parting as if recognizing us or analyzing us. In the center of the chamber, a vast column of luminous metal stretched up into the darkness above and down into depths we couldn't see. Its surface shifted constantly, rearranging plates, opening and closing tiny vents, like an enormous mechanical organ endlessly reconfiguring itself. "That's the source lattice?" I asked, breath trembling. "Yes," he said. "Everything above, every pattern, every imitation, starts right there. And we're supposed to, what? Smash it." He shook his head. "You can't destroy it physically. You have to trigger an internal collapse." "How?" He hesitated. Then he turned to me, his expression grave. "By touching it." My throat tightened. "Touching it will what? Kill me?" "Not immediately," he said, "but it will pull you in. The system will try to rewrite you. It will try to rebuild you from scratch the way it does everything. And that helps us how? Because if it tries to overwrite a corrupted pattern, your pattern, it could destabilize, collapse the imprinting protocols. The system relies on perfect sequences, but you're already out of sync, broken enough to jam it, but not broken enough to be rejected. And if it just rewrites me, then we lose," he said. "And you stop being you." The chamber vibrated, low, resonant, like the opening note of a funeral bell. He looked around. "It knows we're here." I stepped back instinctively, but the moment I did, tendrils rose behind me, blocking retreat like walls closing in. "It's hurting us," I whispered. "No," he said quietly. "It's preparing." The glowing tendrils coiled upward, braiding together as they formed something, shapes, structures, figures. Human silhouettes formed from molten, shifting metal. They stepped forward like puppets being pulled to life. The first one took shape fully. His face was mine. Another stepped beside it, identical. Then a third, a fourth, each one refining itself as plates folded and unfolded across their faces and bodies, achieving closer and closer mimicry. Their eyes lit with cold silver fire. "It's preparing to overwrite you," he said, replacing the deviant with clean templates. The first copy extended a hand toward me. Its voice came out perfect. My voice. "Return to protocol." I staggered back. No, a second one stepped closer. "Return to protocol." Then a third. "Return." My double, the older one, stepped between me and them, arms spread. "You won't take him." One of the copies tilted its head, analyzing him like a glitching object. "You have expired." And then they moved. Fast. Metallic arms extended, fingers elongating like blades. The older version of me shoved me backward. "Go!" A metal copy lunged at him. He dodged, but he was slower, weaker, human. The copy rammed its hand into his abdomen. A wet, horrifying sound. He gasped, collapsing to his knees.
No.
I staggered forward, but another tendril rose in front of me like a wall, stopping me cold. He coughed blood, gripping the metal arm embedded in him. "Listen," he rasped, struggling against the pain. "This place, this whole system, it needs perfect patterns. That's the only thing it understands. When it sees something broken, something incomplete, it tries to fix it." Blood dripped from his mouth. "But you're broken in the wrong way. Wrong enough that it can't rewrite you. Wrong enough that you can break it." The metal copy twisted the blade hand. He screamed, then forced out the last words. "Touch the lattice. End it." The metal creature tore upward, slicing through his chest. His body collapsed onto the writhing floor. For a heartbeat, everything went silent inside me. Then something snapped. I ran. Not away. Forward. Toward the towering column of shifting metal. The copies screamed behind me, voices warping between metallic distortion and my own terrified tone. Tendrils lashed at me, but I ducked, jumped, rolled, each movement driven by something beyond adrenaline. Rage, horror, the echo of a life stolen before I ever knew it existed. The ground beneath me pulsed faster, lighting up with each footstep. The lattice sensed me approaching. It opened. A slit parted in its surface, glowing white-hot. An invitation or a trap? I didn't know. The first copy lunged at my back. I threw myself forward. My palm struck the living metal. It burned, and then everything shattered. The world fell away. The chamber vanished. Heat vanished. Sound vanished. I was suspended in blinding light, weightless, formless, dissolving. Voices whispered inside me. Not around me, inside me. Thousands.
Millions.
All versions of me. All lives. All patterns. One voice rose above the others. Not metallic. Not human. Ancient. Patient.
First.
Return to origin. And then the world rewrote itself around me. First there was nothing. No light. No sound. No body. Only pressure. An immense, crushing force folding my consciousness inward like paper being compacted into a fist. Then slivers. Fractures. Like someone smashing a mirror made of my memories. Every shard was a moment. A life. A face. A death. I saw myself as a child, but the edges were wrong, the colors too clean, like a simulation frozen mid-render. I saw myself laughing with friends I couldn't name. I saw my hands holding tools I didn't remember learning to use. I saw a woman's face. A woman I knew I'd loved, but I could not recall her name, her voice, the warmth of her skin. Each memory dissolved the moment I reached for it, reforming into a different version. Iterations. I wasn't remembering. I was sifting through the prototypes of a life I was never meant to question. Then the voice returned, filling the void, filling me. Pattern degradation detected. Its tone was not angry, not emotional, just inevitable. Initiating stabilization. The light constricted around me. My body began to take shape again, pulled together by unseen forces, limbs forming, bones knitting, nerves weaving like silver threads branching through darkness. I could feel myself being remade, like clay under a sculptor's hand. I tried to pull away, but I had no muscles yet.
No leverage.
No control. Corrupted sequence identified. The voice was inside my skull and beneath it and beyond it. Erasure protocol engaged. A wave of cold shot through me so violently I screamed without lungs, without vocal cords. Then something else happened. Something the system had not predicted. A memory rose, bright, sharp, defiant. Not a programmed memory. A real one. The moment I'd seen the older version of me bleed. Red. Not silver. Not conductive fluid. Blood. Human blood. Something impossible within a perfect machine world. It was the only memory that didn't dissolve when I reached for it. It stayed. Burned. Refused to be erased. Unauthorized memory detected. The light trembled. Rewrite failure. The pressure around me shifted, tightened, then trembled violently. Suddenly the walls of light cracked. A blinding fissure tore through the void. And through it, I saw the chamber. The real chamber. The core was shaking. Tendrils flailed wildly, striking the ground, the ceiling, each other. They sparked and hissed like broken wires. Metallic figures, the copies, were collapsing, plates falling off their bodies like dead leaves. Everything was breaking. Because of me. Because the system couldn't rewrite what it couldn't understand. I pushed. Hard. Against whatever force held me. The fissure widened. I felt weight again. Heat. Sound. My body slammed down onto the pulsing floor of the core chamber. I gasped as real breath returned to me in ragged, painful gulps. The lattice column flickered violently. Segments of its surface glowed too brightly. Others dimmed or went dark entirely. Veins of molten metal burst open, spraying bright streaks across the ground. A scream, deep, metallic, grinding, raced through the entire structure. The iron womb was in agony, or in terror, or both. I forced myself up onto trembling hands. Every copy that had chased me was twitching on the ground, spasming, limbs contorting unnaturally as their internal patterns unraveled. One of them, its face an unfinished version of mine, clawed at the floor and reached toward me. Its voice crackled with collapsing data. Dis, con nec. Its jaw split. Its body crumpled inward like foil caught in a fire. The tendrils surrounding the chamber lashed out blindly, smashing into walls, shearing through stone. The whole world trembled. A rumble shook the chamber. High above, metal supports snapped. Chunks of the ceiling tore free and crashed down into the core, sending shockwaves rippling beneath my feet. The iron womb was collapsing. Literally, structurally, existentially. I staggered toward the center, toward the lattice column, which now flickered like a dying flame. If I stayed here, I would die. If I left, I didn't know what I was, what I had broken, what I had become. A groan rolled through the tower, so deep it felt like the earth itself was crying out, "Run." The instinct hit me like a punch. I turned and sprinted. The ground buckled behind me. Tendrils snapped apart, collapsing into molten heaps. The chamber's walls twisted, contorting as sections failed and folded inward like a collapsing lung. A tunnel opened ahead of me, formed by falling debris and ruptured metal walls. I didn't care where it led. I ran into it. The heat grew unbearable. The world behind me crashed and roared, shaking the tunnel. I stumbled, fell, pushed myself up, kept running, kept running. The tunnel forked, but I didn't have time to think. The right path collapsed. I veered left. A blast of scorching air slammed into me from behind, throwing me forward so hard I rolled across the floor. I hit a wall. The impact knocked the breath from my lungs. But the air in this chamber, this new chamber, was cooler and brighter. I tried to stand, failed, tried again. My legs trembled but held. I turned and froze. The wall behind me was split open, revealing a massive fissure leading up into darkness, into stone, into the old world. A way out. I staggered toward it. Behind me, the iron womb roared again, its death cry shaking the earth. I climbed. Through debris, through stone, through a shaft that grew narrower as I scrambled upward. My hands bled. My lungs burned. The world trembled. But the darkness above began to lighten. Gray, then silver, then moonlight, cold and clean. I hauled myself out onto solid ground, real ground. Dirt, grass, wind. The night sky spread above me, vast and indifferent. Behind me, the earth convulsed as the iron womb collapsed into itself, sending up a pillar of dust and heat. I crawled forward, collapsing in the cold grass, gasping like a newborn pulled from something monstrous. For a long time, I didn't move. Then, a sound behind me, soft, precise, a footstep. I didn't turn at first. I couldn't bear the possibility of seeing another version of myself staring down at me. The footstep came closer. Then a voice, quiet, trembling. Are you okay? Human. I turned. A woman stood there at the edge of the field, holding a lantern. She looked frightened but real. Her eyes were wide, reflecting the collapsing ruin behind me. I opened my mouth to speak, but no words came. She stepped closer, kneeling beside me. What happened to you? Are you hurt? Her hand hovered near my shoulder before resting gently on it. Warm, flesh, real. I met her eyes and finally forced a whisper through trembling lips. I don't know what I am. She blinked, confused. What do you mean? The ground rumbled again behind me, but weaker now. Dying. I stared at her lantern's light, soft, warm. Nothing like the cold glow of metal. I don't know if I'm human, I whispered. I waited for her to recoil, to run, to scream. Instead, she tightened her grip on my shoulder. You're shaking, she said gently. Come with me. We'll get you warm. We'll figure everything out. Okay? Her voice, her warmth, they grounded me in a way I hadn't felt since ever. Maybe since never. I nodded. She helped me to my feet, and together we walked away from the dying groans of the iron womb. But as we stepped through the grass, I felt something shift beneath my skin. A flicker, a hum, a tiny echo of metal deep in my bones. The iron womb was dead, but something inside me was not. I continued walking, one hand on the wall to steady myself, the other ready to grab the spike if anything lunged from the dark. The corridor sloped downward. Every step felt like sinking deeper into something's throat. The air thickened, hot, metallic, almost damp. I wiped my forehead and my hand came away with a faint sheen of red dust. The same dust that coated the creature's joints. The same dust that fell from the iron womb's ceiling every time it birthed something new. The slope ended at a wide threshold. Beyond it, a circular chamber filled with rows of metal carcasses, stacked like coffins standing upright. Each one had a face pressed into the surface, as if someone had once been trapped inside the metal and had screamed until their features were imprinted into it. Some faces looked old. Some looked startlingly recent. One of them looked like me. I stopped breathing for a moment. The metal face had my jawline, my nose, even the small scar above my eyebrow from when I fell off a ladder at 14. The expression frozen into its features was one of empty peace, like I was floating somewhere beyond pain. I reached out and the metal eyelids snapped open. I stumbled back, the spike clattering on the ground. The face pushed forward, and the metal coffin creaked. A hand pressed from the inside, distorting the metal like clay being kneaded. Then a voice, my voice, muffled but unmistakably mine. Let me out. I wanted to run. Every instinct screamed at me to run. But something heavier rooted me to the stone, the horrifying possibility that this thing wasn't mimicking me. It was becoming me. The metal bulged again. Fingers pushed through now, each one clicking as if assembling itself. A shoulder followed, then half a torso. I grabbed the spike and backed away. The thing stepped out, dripping molten flakes like dead skin. Its face was still malleable, still soft like heated wax, shifting as if deciding what expression to wear. I tried to speak, but my throat refused to cooperate. My doppelganger tilted its head. My same gesture, my same slow blink. You came back, it said. You always come back. I didn't understand. But before I could ask, a heavy tremor ran through the chamber. Dust fell from the ceiling again. Metal pipes groaned like they were being wrung out. Then, from deeper within the complex, a low, rhythmic pounding began. Thump, thump, thump. The iron womb was waking. My double turned its face toward the sound first. It's opening again. No.
Impossible.
It had opened barely an hour ago. But the tremors intensified. Heat rolled through the chamber. Light flickered along the carved metal veins in the walls, pulsing like blood being pumped through arteries. The iron womb wasn't just waking. It was accelerating. My double reached out a hand toward me. We have to go, it said. His voice was steady. Mine wouldn't have been. It sounded practiced, perfected. I backed away, trembling. I didn't trust this thing. Couldn't. But before I could decide whether to fight it or flee, something moved in the corner of the chamber. A shape, human height, human gait. But the sound was all wrong. Not footsteps, a dragging scrape like bone against metal. It stepped into the faint red glow. Not a metal creature, person, a man. Except, no. His skin shone faintly, as if something beneath was reflecting through it. His pupils were pinpricks, his movements awkward, stiff, and where his fingers should have been, metal tips gleamed like half-forged claws. He wasn't metal mimicking a human. He was a human becoming metal. He opened his mouth to speak, but only a dry rattle came out, like screws shaking in a jar. He pointed at me slowly. You, he rasped. You're late. I didn't know him. At least, I didn't think I did. But something about his voice awakened a cold familiarity, like a half-forgotten nightmare. My double stepped between us smoothly, blocking the man's path. You shouldn't be here, it said, not to me but to him. The man's jaw clenched. Metal crept over his cheek, crawling like vines. You don't get to decide that. Another tremor ripped through the chamber. The iron womb's rhythmic pounding grew faster, louder, almost frantic. My double turned to me sharply. Run. This time I didn't hesitate. I grabbed the spike and sprinted toward the exit tunnel. Behind me, metal cracked. Something heavy slammed into something else. The man shouted or screamed, I couldn't tell which. The sound twisted into grinding metal halfway through. The corridor walls flickered with pulsing red veins as I ran. The iron womb was birthing again. Too soon. Too fast. Something was wrong with the cycle. With the chamber. With me being here. The air grew hotter the deeper I ran, until it felt like my skin might blister. The pounding became deafening. It didn't sound like a heartbeat anymore. It sounded like something punching its way out. When I reached the next turn, the walls suddenly contracted inward with a metallic groan, as if inhaling. I pressed myself against the floor as shards of heated metal rained down. The iron womb was changing the tunnels, rerouting them, trapping me. I crawled forward, choking on the metallic dust, until the passage opened into another chamber. One I'd never seen before. It was filled with dim red glow and heavy machinery that looked halfway between organic tissue and factory parts. Thick, slow-moving fluids pulsed through transparent tubes, glowing from within. And in the center was a pit. A deep, cylindrical pit lined with moving gears and shifting plates, like a giant mouth trying to chew without teeth. Its edges pulsed rhythmically with the pounding. Something inside that pit was rising. Something new. Something very, very wrong. I stepped back, but the floor. You can replace this text with any text you wish. You can either write in this text box or paste your own text here. Try different languages and voices. Change the speed and the pitch of the voice. You can even tweak the SSML, speech synthesis markup language, to control how the different sections of the text sound. Click on SSML above to give it a try. Enjoy using text-to-speech. In this tunnel now, the pounding grew louder, closer. It didn't sound like a heartbeat anymore. It sounded like fists beating on metal walls. I stumbled forward, half blind from heat. My legs trembled. Every step felt heavier, like gravity thickened around me. Then the tunnel opened into another chamber, but this one was different, colder. The air here was eerily still, the glow dimmer. At the center stood a massive cylindrical pod. Glass, metal, still. Inside it a body, human, real. Sleeping in a vertical cradle, eyes closed, chest unmoving. Tubes connected to its arms. Metal braces wrapped around its skull. I stepped closer, breath tight. The body's face was mine. Not metal. Flesh. Unmarked. Perfectly preserved. My voice died in my throat. My legs nearly buckled. And then, faintly, impossibly, the eyes inside the pod fluttered, opened, looked directly at me. And my own voice echoed inside the chamber. You're late. The voice reverberated through the chamber, though no sound seemed to leave the pod. I froze, my hands trembling, Spike still clutched like a lifeline. The body inside, the real one, I realized, was awake. Not moving like a marionette, not twitching with mechanical delay. It was alive in a way that felt impossible down here. Its eyes, my eyes, studied me with a calm that made my chest tighten. There was recognition, not just of me, but of everything I had endured, everything the womb had tried to overwrite. The hum of the chamber softened, almost respectful, as if even the iron womb paused to witness this reunion. I stumbled closer, unsure if I should reach out or run. My own reflection in the pod's glass blurred with my sweat, my fear, my desperation. The spike in my hand felt absurdly heavy now, useless against this impossible reality. You, I whispered, voice hoarse. You're me. The body in the pod smiled faintly, a subtle curl of the lips. I am what you were meant to be, it said, voice warm, solid. Human. Real. But you changed it. You made a choice. The truth hit me like ice water. All the runs, all the escapes, all the defiance. It hadn't just been survival. It had been influence. Even broken, even terrified, even manipulated by the iron womb, I had left a trace, a spark, a glitch that had disrupted the machine's endless cycle. The hum of the womb, the pounding, the births, the metal groans slowed. The chamber shook once more, then settled. The tendrils that had tried to ensnare me earlier slumped, retracting. The air cooled, the pressure lifted. The relentless rhythm of the iron womb's heart, its terrifying pulse, softened to almost nothing. I realized then, it was over. The womb couldn't continue. Not with me standing here, not with the pod awake, not with the patterns fractured beyond repair. I had broken it from the inside. I had survived. I sank to my knees beside the pod. I thought I was already lost. I whispered. My own voice sounded strange after everything. Raw, trembling, human. The body inside stirred. It reached out, and for the first time in the entire ordeal, I felt a real hand, warm, solid, alive, grasp mine. The touch was grounding, anchoring, real. You weren't, it said softly. You just didn't know it yet. We stayed there, hands clasped, as the chamber's glow dimmed entirely. The machinery around us fell silent. The pulse of the iron womb faded into the earth beneath our feet, leaving only echoes of what had been, a memory of metal, of birth, of endless replication. Outside, far above, the first light of dawn seeped through cracks in the rock. The air smelled of soil and metal and rain. The world above continued on, oblivious to the subterranean horrors that had churned for centuries, oblivious to the lives that had been imitated, broken, or rewritten. I stood slowly, the pod standing behind me like a mirror of possibility. I didn't need to think about what had to happen next. There was nothing left for the womb. No more births, no more copies, no more chasing shadows of humanity in the dark. Together, we climbed upward, through tunnels now quiet, through halls no longer alive with the womb's terrible pulse. Every step felt heavier with relief, lighter with possibility. Outside, the air touched our faces, cool and real. I looked at the person beside me, myself yet not quite. Something human, something complete, and I felt it. Hope. The first real hope I had felt in what seemed like centuries. We emerged into the open air, under a sky just beginning to lighten. Behind us, the earth rumbled once. A final sigh, or perhaps a last warning. The iron womb had collapsed. His children had ceased. His pulse was gone. And we were free. I drew a deep breath, feeling the night air fill my lungs like a second chance. It's over, I said. Yes, my other self replied. For now. I didn't need to ask what would come next. We had survived the impossible, broken the unbreakable. And though the scars would remain, deep, invisible, unspoken, they were ours. Real. Human. The first rays of sunlight struck the earth, and for the first time in what felt like forever, I smiled. The womb's children were gone. The iron womb was gone. And whatever came next, we would face it together, human, imperfect, alive. The nightmare had ended. And for now, that was enough. Weeks passed, though time felt different now. Slower, tangible, no longer measured by the womb's pulse or the mechanical births echoing beneath the earth. The world above continued its indifference. Birds nested in trees, the wind whispered through grass, and people walked the streets, unaware of the abyss we had escaped. We stayed together at first, hesitant, fragile. We didn't speak much, words felt inadequate. But the silence was not empty. It was full of understanding, of survival, of unspoken questions finally left unanswered. I returned to familiar places, the streets and houses I had known in another life, only to see them through new eyes. Everything seemed simultaneously familiar and alien, filtered through the memory of metal, of imitation, of endless repetition. I realized that the world above had always been real. I had just forgotten how to trust it. The iron womb had left something inside me. Traces of its design, echoes of its rhythm, but they were faint now, like scars that no one else could see. Each pulse reminded me, yes, of what had been, but also of what I had survived. And somewhere beneath the earth, where the womb had once stretched its living heart, there was only silence. The chamber had crumbled. The tendrils of metal and the rows of failed iterations lay dormant, buried beneath rock and dust. We, my other self and I, walked through the sunlight together. Sometimes our hands brushed, sometimes we spoke, and sometimes we just listened. To the wind, to the birds, to the gentle rhythm of a world that had nothing to do with imitation, repetition, or control. For the first time, I could think of the future without fear. Not perfectly, not as a template written in metal, but truly human. And in that fragile, fleeting realization, I smiled. The iron womb had tried to take everything. My life, my identity, my reality. But it had underestimated one thing: the stubbornness of a human heart. The world was alive again, and so was I. The nightmare was over, but I would never forget. Not the womb, not the copies, not the sound of metal screaming in the dark. And I would carry that memory, that warning, that proof into the world above, alive, human, and utterly free.